Well, hello there, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me for yet another edition of the Creator Checkup here at God and Gigs. If you're new to God and Gigs, this is where we help you every week that we are able to go live to solve specific issues in your creator lifestyle while making sure that you maintain your faith at the entire time. And as you may have noticed, if you are a regular for God and Gigs, we were not available. So we didn't go live the last couple of weeks. And that's what the discussion is going to be about today, as I'm also going live here on Instagram. We decided to go ahead and start up Instagram because a lot of our friends are there. We usually only live stream to Facebook. I'm sorry, I always say Facebook, and we don't live stream to Facebook anymore. Didn't see the point because they already always take it down, and it's just not as much where we are trying to like set up our home anymore. It's just not as conducive to community. So what we've been doing instead is going live to LinkedIn, to YouTube, and then we kind of go back and forth between Instagram and TikTok. But once again, today I felt like because we had a kind of a break, that it might be good to go live on Instagram because that way we can kind of share what's going on in the personal lives and so on. Kind of get back in the swing of things. That's kind of like the goal today with the live stream. And so, anyone that's watching on replay, thank you so much for joining in. I appreciate you guys for being patient. And for those who have not joined us before, this will be a good introduction in terms of how do we navigate when things aren't going exactly as planned. If you are a creator in any area, whether it be music, art, film, writing, whatever it is, you're going to realize that life happens. And as it does to all of us, I don't want to make myself a victim or sob story or look for sympathy. It's just the truth of what happened. And I figured this is the best way for me to use myself as a test case on how things can go, not wrong, but go south, and how to fix it and how to continue your creator business, even in the midst of dealing with your emotional and mental health and family struggles, which we all go through. So that's the goal today. I already see some folks joining us on Instagram. Thank you so much. If you want to see my screen, I do have a few slides. So those who are joining on other platforms, you might want to jump over to YouTube or LinkedIn only if you want to see the slides. Hopefully you can hear me okay. And I just realized also on this, I want to make sure that I don't get interrupted by phone calls. So let's make sure that the phone isn't going to shut me off. So hopefully the phone thing works. But thank you for joining us on whatever platform you're joining me on. So I am going to go to sharing my screen now. And let's see if we have this here. And this is our creator checkup kind of, our table of contents, what we're going to be doing today. So it gives you all, an idea that we don't want to waste your time. We want to make sure we keep things moving throughout this entire live stream. So first, we're going to talk about news and notes. I wonder why it's so small today. That's strange. It got much smaller. And that's not normal. So I don't know if you guys can see that. Hopefully you can kind of zoom in a little bit. Not sure why it got smaller all of a sudden. Matter of fact, I'm going to play with this a little bit. Forgive me. But I'm going to go ahead and keep telling you we're going to do news and notes. Then after news and notes, we're going to go into what's going lately on our podcast. Goodness. Okay. So, yeah, a lot of stuff is going weird today. All right. Think we're still good. All right. Apologize. Like I said, I'm trying to throw everything together. And as you can probably tell, we're a little bit out of sorts just because we're getting back into the swing of things. So first thing I'm going to talk about is, as I mentioned, the news and notes, just what's going on in our creator live streams, in our particular podcast, just kind of catch you up. Also, we're going to do a creator spotlight, let you know about some of our new members that have joined God and Gigs in the last few weeks, which is super cool. Can't wait for you to meet some of these folks. Yep, still too small. Don't know what's going on with our slides today. So anyway, let's keep it moving. So after that, we're going to go into our consult. Now, normally we don't go into the consult, which is kind of like where we have a Q&A until the end of our live stream. But I figured today it'd be better to start with that because I'd rather get your opinions and your thoughts on our discussion at the top and then lead into some of the content. It just makes more sense to get your feedback. And if you're watching on replay, again, this is a perfect time for you to share in the comments to talk about what's really going on in your life in terms of your emotional and your mental health so that we can really find solutions for that. So that's the goal there. Then after that, we'll go into our vital signs, which is the actual discussion where I will share a little bit more personally on what's going on the last 2 weeks and why I feel like it's so important that we maintain and pay attention to our emotional and mental health as creators. And then finally, we'll do our prescriptions. I'm sorry, our, I'm out of order because I'm not used to doing it in this order. Um, then we will do our, gosh, I don't know why my brain is not keeping this straight today. Um, Clearly, this is why, like I said, I'm kind of out of it. Let's see. I can literally just pops out of my head. The lab work. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. Maybe it's because I'm getting older because we've been out of the saddle for the last 2 weeks. So I will not cut this part out where you watch me kind of fumble there. The lab work where I will talk about the tools that we use that allowed us to stay focused for the 2 weeks that we were kind of not exactly producing content so that you can see what kind of tools help whenever you do need to have some downtime, when you do need to take a break from content creation. It seems like everything is shutting down. Voice, everything does not want to work today. Coffee's probably not the right idea, but that's what I'm sipping, so that's what we'll have to do. All right, so excuse me, like I said, trying to get back into the saddle. So let me try one more time to get our slides back. If we can, let's see. Again, thank you guys for being patient as we try to put everything back together the way it's supposed to be. I think I'm going to go ahead and download this so that you guys can see it. And we'll see if that helps better. All right. Anyway, as I mentioned, we are going to be talking a lot about mental health. And I sent out, as the consult today, I sent out an email yesterday. Sent out an email trying to get people's kind of feel on where they're really at. And the reason I sent that out is because over the last 2 weeks, we had a loss in our family. And it just, threw me a little bit off, obviously, threw all of us off, because you just cannot go back to life as normal when you have a major life event affect your entire family. And so I said to myself, okay, I can't shut all the way off, but I have to pull way back. And so a lot of things went into automated mode. A lot of things were canceled. A lot of things said, okay, family comes first. And so while we didn't totally shut everything down, there were some automated things going on. I clearly was not focused on God and gigs. I was focused on my family. And so one of the things I realized as I was trying to get back into the swing of things was that my emotions were all over the place. That my focus, as you saw in the first 5 minutes of this, it hasn't been like the best. And it's understandable. And I have to give myself grace. And I've been asking for you guys to give me grace as well. And so what we wanted to do is share our own ways of checking in on our mental and emotional health. And one way that I mentioned in the email, by the way, you can always join us at godandgigs.com/newsletter, and you can jump in and get that newsletter. One of the questions I asked was, what's your number? What is your mental health number? And so what my wife and I do is we just have a number system from 1 through 10. If it's physical pain, if it's emotional or mental health, we just share honestly, like, where are we? And when we do that, it gives us a quick indication. If I say I'm at a 5, average, not great, not good, not horrible. Or maybe I'm feeling at a 7 or an 8, feeling amazing, feeling really good. Or below 5, which is definitely kind of struggling today, which is where I answered on the email that I sent. Because the truth is, again, not that I'm all the way low, but I'm definitely a little bit below average in terms of my focus and my kind of just my get up and go, my energy. And again, it's all been because I realized I have to give myself grace as I've been turning from this major life hit that we took. But it's also the understanding of how do I even evaluate this and what do I share with my community while I'm going through it. So as we go through this creator checkup, I want to give you, again, the license to share where you're at. If you want to just put in the comments as we go, my mental health number is a 6, is a 6.5, is a 5, is a 4.5. It doesn't matter what number you decide to pick. And obviously, if it's a 1, I consider that where we definitely want to implore you, or really anything kind of like in that lower 1, 2, 3 numbers, to go get help at any point. Honestly, therapy is always something we recommend, but of course, professional help, especially if you are in the really, really depths of any kind of depression. And of course, I would be remiss if I did not mention, obviously, if you are having thoughts of self harm, this is where you go. I believe the number is 811 for the suicide hotline. We'll make sure that's right, but we want to make sure that you get the help you need at any point that you are at that low level, that you are feeling lost and worthless and like is not worth going on. We don't want that ever to happen in our community, where we don't ask the question and where you don't feel like we will encourage you to get the help you desperately need. But yeah, when I answered as a 4, it felt a little bit strange to admit that, because I'm supposed to be the leader. I'm supposed to be the one that encourages. And so, as I realized that it's hard to kind of encourage other people when you're feeling a little bit off and down yourself, I realized that I cannot be the only creator that feels that. Many of us, I'm sure, go through this struggle of feeling like I want to push forward. I want to feel, inspired and lifted up and help other people, but I'm not feeling it myself. So, how can I possibly give to others when I'm not feeling good myself, when I don't feel it myself? And so that's why, like I said, it was so important that I shared that number with you. So throughout this particular live stream, again, at any point, if you want to share where your number is, please do. Please jump in. Okay. All right. Well, we do have at least one version of the creator checkup here, of the slides, I should say. So hide slide bar. And again, it wasn't that big. I don't know why the numbers and the letters got smaller, but it's fine. We can deal with it. You can kind of read that now. So as I mentioned, this is what we're going to be talking about today. And now I would love to welcome those of you who are watching online. I love how I kind of fit in the squares and the circles here. But I would love to welcome those of you who are joining from our 360 community, our app, our community. You guys were so gracious the entire time as I was sharing what was going on in my family. You've been praying for me. You've been doing so much to keep the community rolling, even when I was not 100% active. And it means the world to me. And so I want to say thank you for being a part of this community. And as we are doing that, I also want to say hello and welcome to one of our newest members, Wendy Coop. She has already been, number one, an amazing creative friend of myself and Leah. We met at Podfest. We have had plenty of times to sit with her husband and talk about faith and podcasting and create content creation and YouTube. So she's just the bee's knees. And she's also been one of our creator experts when she showed up on in January and did our first creator checkup, our first creator workshop on how to study the Bible. That was a hugely beneficial teaching. It's still available in our Creator Resource Center, which I highly recommend you go check out. If you're not a member, you can go to godandgigs.com/CRC and you can join us in the Creator Checkup. In the Creator Resource Center, the CRC, and you can see her presentation. But she's not just a presenter. She has joined us. She has already offered to do some great work, consulting work, for a super, super inexpensive price for our members. She's already posting there. So she's already becoming a valuable resource inside of 360, as well as us serving her. And so I would highly recommend, once again, that you join us there. Okay, or join her there, I should say. All right. Oh, there we go. See, they can see the name. I have to get used to this as I'm scrolling through this. Let's see, it's full screen. Let's see if that helps. You see how I'm trying to, whoops, I might have messed it up. Oh, no, it worked. Yay. Okay, cool. I got rid of that. I was worried about that, but looks like I might have to still go back and forth with screens. Yeah, you guys, you can see I'm just not on my game today. It feels so strange to try to keep everything going. My button pushing is not working as well as I want it to. I'm going to stop the screen because I'm just going to keep figuring it out as we go, y'all. If I was not admitting how I am kind of, plodding through a little bit, it would be not a great example of knowing your mental health. If I was trying to hide the fact that things are just not exactly the way I want it to be right now, and that's quite all right. We're giving each other and myself grace. I'm giving myself grace. So if you guys have said this is the most disjointed live stream he's ever done, that's quite all right. And again, I admit it. So this is how a first step in being more intentional and being more honest about how things are going. All right, it looks a little better now. So I think we're okay with this now. All right, so let's continue. We talked about Wendy. Oh, if you want to join us in God and Gigs in our membership, go ahead and jump in at our CRC Creator Resource Center. That's at godandgigs.com/CRC. Or you can jump into our mastermind. We actually have a mastermind call coming up on Monday. And I cannot wait to talk to our folks. These are the ones who have invested themselves a little more. They are getting more access. They get more live coaching, actually all the live coaching, and group mastermind level considerations. And they are the ones that get to ask, kind of like get the inside scoop on everything that's going on inside God and Gigs, even in terms of some of our guests that have been coming on. I'll tell you a little bit later, but some of the amazing guests that are coming up, they got to ask questions of them before anybody else did. They actually helped construct the interview. And my guests absolutely loved the questions. So strange after not talking for 2 weeks. So forgive the voice as I tried to focus. Now, on the podcast, lately, as I mentioned, I was not necessarily doing full podcasts, but I did get this one out before we took a little bit of a break in terms of live shows. And we decided to decided to talk to an incredible business owner who's also a full-time recording artist. Now, when I say business owner, I don't just mean entrepreneur of his creative business. He is a steel industry business owner, CEO of a manufacturing and I guess in metals. This is not just his side hustle. He is full-time running a business with his employees and also full-time as a musician creating amazing music in the, I guess you could say, rock and Christian. And it's not CCM, it's definitely, you have to go listen to it. But he's done a documentary with medieval music where he was seen millions of times with his partner on YouTube. So this is his full-time position as well, spreading the gospel through his music and running a full-time business, which is in the corporate realm. And so Chris Whittington, by the way, those of you who are joining us on Instagram, want to make sure you know what I'm talking about. We have slides on YouTube, but you can join us here as well. So this podcast, I think it's episode 378. Yes, 378 is in a masterclass in what it takes to see God's hand both in your ministry and in your business, and not seeing a divide between the two where your day job is not really, it's just kind of like a plan B, and your real ministry is in your music or your art or your film or your dance. This gentleman, Chris Whittington, and again, he talks about this in the podcast, episode 379. Once again, if you're interested, he talks about how God had to drag him kicking and screaming into both of them. He didn't feel like he was worthy to be a front-facing full-time artist, recording artist, and he didn't feel ready to be a business owner. And so God really encouraged him in both of these areas. This is great for any of you guys that have a day job that don't feel like you can balance the two. This episode will help you see it's not only possible, it might be what God wants for you, to not have to leave one, because most of us think you have to leave your full-time corporate job in order to truly pursue music or truly pursue art and all those things. This guy, Chris Whittington, proves that's not necessarily the case. So I love this one. Got a shout out real quick as I'm looking on Instagram. Snowden, Chris Snowden, happy birthday if I missed it. Amazing, amazing friend of God and Gigs. Also been on the God and Gigs show twice, I believe. Great to see you over here on Instagram, my friend. All right, so I mentioned this earlier, but now that we have a few friends who are checking us out, I would love for you again to put in the comments. I need to make sure I can see your comments. Your mental health number right now. So if you put a 1 in the chat, by the way, 1 is the lowest. So remember, I don't want you to put something where you feel like you're being put on the spot. But yeah, absolutely. Let's make it a third time, man. I see you over there. Dude, I would love to have you back, man. It's been too long and you had too much happen. Like every time we talk, 2 or 3 years have passed and something amazing has happened in your life, man. So okay, so let me talk about this right now because I'm just seeing comments. Mental health number. So if it is a low number, which I'm seeing on the chat right now, my friend, I'm going to call you right after this. If it is a low number, this is where we want to be honest with each other. My number, as I mentioned on my email lately, was definitely lower than a 5 because of the situation I have with my family. And I've just felt out of sorts. You've noticed even on this call, I've been kind of just not sharp. It bothers me, but probably what bothers me more is realizing that that's normal, that this is what I have right now to give, capacity wise. I got to give a lot to my church and ministry. I don't want that to be affected. I don't want my ability to show up for others to be affected. But I have to be honest about the capacity that I have right now. And so, those of you who are chatting right now and sharing your numbers, um, let's be honest. I said this on a podcast recording and many times about one of my favorite scriptures, which is about David saying that God desires us to be honest with each other and with ourselves and with Him in the innermost parts of our being. And this is where, again, as creators, we want to be honest with our lives and honest with our art. But if we're not honest with ourselves, that honesty only goes so far. It becomes a crutch. It becomes where we're hiding behind the art, hiding behind the music, hiding behind the stage. In a sense, you're kind of hiding in plain sight because you can wear a mask as a performer. You can wear a mask as an artist. And a lot of times what seems to be cathartic in terms of expressing yourself can actually be kind of like, well, no, let me just say the right things, do the right things, show up in the right way. And then I don't have to talk about how I'm really feeling. And again, your capacity is limited and your number can never go higher in terms of your creative inspiration than your mental health number right now. So again, as you're watching, as you're listening, again, my friend, those of you who are chatting, I'm looking over here at Instagram. If you're low number, let's get you some help. I would love to have some of our psychologists and our psychiatrist friends who are also in the God and Gigs community to step out, help out, share your information if you are here and you have numbers or people in your location or virtual numbers where you can call and get help. We want to make sure everybody in our community is covered and has the spiritual, emotional, and mental health resources so that they can be healthier in everywhere that they go, in any way that you need. So that segues right into our vital signs, the importance of mental and emotional health for creators. And I kind of just said it, but I'm going to start here because I think one of the things that we forget as creators is that you cannot simply perform, create, or use art as your healing mechanism. Art itself can be very healing for both the producer and the consumer of the art. But at the end of the day, your emotional health cannot be dependent on your creative output. The thing that I've noticed in my own life has been that it's been very, very, very cathartic and very it has been like a place where, number one, I obviously want to be honest, I do find God and connect with God through my art, through my music. There have been times I've sat at the piano, tears in my eyes, 2 o'clock in the morning, and I just knew that He was using the very music that I was playing to help me heal, to help get connected with Him. But again, the reason why that worked is because I was pouring out my heart in the honest space that I was in, not simply trying to make a song to make me feel better. And I think the difference with producing art to heal and producing art to mask is, what's the goal? If your goal is to somehow use the music, to use the painting, to use it as kind of like a distraction from your pain, from your mental health, from your emotional pain, if it's a distraction, it's actually doing you a disservice and not working in your behalf. The only thing that the Bible says that really heals these types of things, He talks about it. He says, if you are struggling, come unto me, you're weary and heavy laden, I will give you rest. So that's proximity to God. Prayer, because the Bible says that the effectual, fervent prayer of the righteous availeth much, right? The King James Version. Prayer is clearly a way that you get that. Connecting with other people, the people that you are loving and the love that love you and love God and want to help you and bless you. The community of Christians, a community of faith-focused believers, a community of artists that understand that. That's where healing comes in, okay? Again, I'll quote a scripture. Galatians says, if anyone be restored in the fault, confess your faults to one another that you might be healed. That's a specific spiritual principle that is a healing remedy for your emotional health, your mental health. And of course, again, when I say the community, that also includes professionals, mental health counselors, all those people. That includes the discussion, the talking, the being open about your feelings, the being open about what you're actually going through. All of these things are actual things that will help you to overcome those mental health and emotional health challenges. What we can't do as creators is try to make up for it by simply creating more. Our output, again, can be based out of our need to express ourselves, but it can't replace your need to express yourself to other people in your community, other mental health and emotional health professionals, and being honest about where you are. My goal in me sharing, even this week, when I felt like maybe I could take another week off, I probably could have or should have taken a couple more weeks before I try to get back into content creation. But I realized that if I'm going through this, there are other people going through this, and there's definitely ebbs and flows. I've seen this with so many of my creative friends in our creative community, musician friends who are going through some tough financial difficulties, tough family difficulties. Like, you want to unplug entirely and you can't. Not entirely. So how do you push through? What's the right level of capacity? I think what I'm trying to demonstrate is that your capacity, again, cannot exceed your emotional health. The importance of emotional health is that is the lid of which you kind of create from. And while your emotional health might be down, it doesn't mean that you have to give up creating. It just means you have to be honest about what's going to be very, it's not going to be the full cup. I heard our newest guest that will be coming up soon. I just interviewed her and I saw a reel that she shared. I'll go ahead and tell you who she is because I want you to make sure you're ready for her interview to come out. It's her name is Vanessa Darby, and she talked about pouring from an empty cup, and her comment was actually kind of striking. She said, it's not even that you can't pour from an empty cup. She's like, you should be pouring from the overflow, and the cup should be full all the time. That was a revolutionary statement for me because I've always heard that you just need to refill the cup, but you're pouring out for other people. But her statement was the cup should be full and the overflow should be for other people. Now, that again that can be really tough because you may not see how you could refill so fast when you always feel empty emotionally. But I think, again, the honesty is what matters. Being honest about the fact that you feel empty, being honest about the fact that you don't feel like you have it all together. Like, I'll be honest with you, even as I'm looking at the clock on this particular live stream, I'm like, do I have an hour in me today? Maybe not. And that's okay. If there's people that watch this later and they're like, man, Alan, you were off at the beginning. Like, you were just all over the place. Like, yeah, that's the truth. That's the honesty that can come through your art and your creative work if you can face yourself and say, my emotional health matters more than my creative output. My honesty and authenticity about that, when you don't have it, and being able to push through to the level that you can, but not trying to do more than you can, I think is where the real honesty and authenticity comes in. So I wanted to be, again, kind of be the test case, be the case study on coming back from a traumatic event, deciding whether or not you have the capacity to share, and knowing how much you can share. So I felt this was the right thing to do for our community. I felt like it would resonate, and I definitely thank you for all of you guys who have reached out and prayed and said, how are you really doing? Like, that was probably the biggest blessing of seeing how the community responded to when I said, hey, we're going through some stuff. The fact that the community really wanted to know, how are you really doing? They didn't say, when's the next podcast coming out? They didn't have any of those questions. They just wanted to know, hey, what's really going on? How are you really feeling? So that was a blessing. So that fact that I know that you guys actually cared about my mental health, my emotional health, means the world to me. And it absolutely means, as I saw again, some people comment on Instagram that their number was super low. It means that I need to do more checking up on you guys as well. And that's the importance of the mental health, that we as a community check on each other and don't expect our creative output to outpace or to replace our ability to connect with God and with each other in our journey through this life and dealing with life as it comes. So I hope that blessed you guys. I didn't do any stingers today, but we will definitely transition now, so I will be able to save this later. And let's do the stop the share. And let's go into a little bit, again, kind of still, I know there's going to be a low, not very high energy live stream, which again, I kind of knew that was going to happen, but that's okay. Because like I said, this is the capacity is what we have space for. So let's get into our lab work where we'll talk about what tools help me during these kind of like detour, half downtime, not creating full time during a section of your life when you need to focus on your family. Here we go. It's just so funny. I don't know why. I feel like I should try this again. Because it does not seem to be working for me today. All right, here we go. There we go. All right. Seems so strange that this does not seem to be doing. But again, as I mentioned, being honest with where we're at, it's okay when things don't work exactly the way they're supposed to work. And thank you, those of you who have been so patient as you've watched me try to navigate today and kind of figure things out. All right. So let's talk about some of the tools that allowed me to maintain the creator business while I was experiencing some time away. And again, I have to be honest, it wasn't totally away. I spent a little bit of time on my computer getting things back together, posting. But most of the time I would try to like really stay off the computer and really focus on my family. So that meant no active creative work, no active posting, no active, that kind of stuff. I tried to stay as disconnected as possible so that I could focus on the family. And that being said, because I had certain tools, I was able to kind of power down, but still put content out that didn't feel like I was like struggling to maintain things. And so, few of those tools, one of which I'm using right now, proved essential. And why I want you to know about this, because what happens if you go through something, you're a podcaster, you're a musician, you're a YouTuber, you've got content that's got to go out, you've got things you need to promote. How do you make sure that doesn't all fall apart and that you have to totally step away? Are there things you can automate? Are there things that you can do that keep the business rolling, especially when, and here's the truth about it, guys, you do need that income and you do need those resources and you do need those people to stay in your world, your community, your audience, your followers. You don't want them to totally disconnect because when you come back, you need to continue that work. You need to get those customers back. You need to get them listening again, watching again. And so you don't want it to be a total disconnect when you have to shut down a little bit and fall back. So these tools are the ones that allowed me to do that. And I think I will do a little bit of a screen share because I just feel like it's always better when you can actually see what we did. And so the first one I'm going to share right here is Meet Edgar. So you can see Meet Edgar right here. I'm going to see if I can get into my login screen and just let you see what actually happened during the time that I was out. So what Meet Edgar does is Meet Edgar allows you to schedule posts, which a lot of different tools do. But while I was out, I wasn't even trying to schedule posts. Like I wasn't trying to do anything. I was just, hey, whatever schedule goes out, that's it, period. I'm not trying to like schedule anything. I'm not trying to add new content, whatever. The blessing and the benefit of Meet Edgar when I was on kind of like a hiatus was these posts are taken from a schedule and a library of previous posts that I don't have to update. It's updated automatically. And those of you who have seen me share this screen before, I hope you see now why it was so beneficial. Because by having a library of content that's already sitting there, again, these are great interviews. These are previous podcasts, previous blog posts. And the way the algorithm works, a lot of times, y'all, people do not see it the first, the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, the sixth, or even the seventh time this is posted. Because the algorithm simply wants to reward content at a certain time with a view when someone's interested. And they may have not been interested in, as this one here, the Bad Bunny Super Bowl halftime show when it first came out. But maybe they might go back and check it out. Maybe they weren't interested in, what's this one? The pivot that you have to do when your growth and impact hit a ceiling and you need to make a pivot. Maybe this particular post on social didn't resonate at the time. So Instagram didn't show it. Facebook didn't show it. LinkedIn didn't show it. But the third or fourth or fifth time I show it, maybe it's just the time that the person does a search for how do I pivot in my creative business. There's my post. It comes out repeatedly based on this kind of round can't think of it, round robin opening and queue inside Meet Edgar. So I did not have to go back and create any new content. This was all brought back up during my break. So I didn't have to think about sharing in social at all. At least in God and Gigs. So I do this, and as you can see, certain platforms that do this. God and Gigs, Facebook. This is going to be the God and Gigs page, the LinkedIn page. And I also do it, let's see here, to Instagram, God and Gigs Instagram. So I use the light version actually, guys. So this is not even the full version. You can go up to 20 different social media accounts for this particular tool. But I've used the light version. I think it's called Meet Eddie. Because I realized even though I have that many accounts, like I don't need to have posts to every single one of these accounts all the time. Like I was kind of going overkill. So I forced myself to step back a little bit and just do what was the bare minimum that would actually keep content going. Thank goodness I did, because again, this absolutely helped me to maintain a social media presence even while I was not actively posting. So highly recommend Meet Edgar. You can go to godandgigs.com/meet Edgar. Let me go ahead and see if I have this. All of these are in the toolkit, but I always like to wait. Is this the right one? But that's membership. So let's do quickly right here. If I can put I'll just put it in the chat because that way I can pop it up. Gigs.com. As you guys always know, I always seem to forget. I think it's Meet Edgar or Edgar. Let's make sure before I feel like I'm going to get the wrong place. Let's make sure it is. Yes, Meet Edgar. There we go. So that is where you go if you would like to check out Meet Edgar for your own social media sharing. And remember, once again, the key is you have to create a library, but you can do this by connecting it directly to your blog. You can actually connect it to your YouTube, and it automatically syncs up, gets content in. You can quickly update it a little bit, change the captions, and change the thumbnails and things like that. And you can have automatic posts going all the time, even when you are not actively posting. That's a huge one. It was such a blessing. Okay, so the next tool that allowed me to take some downtime without feeling like I was totally shutting down the whole creator business is the tool that you see me using right now, and that is Riverside. So I'm just going to go ahead and go out of here because I can't really show you Riverside while I'm on Riverside. But the cool thing about Riverside is, there we go. The cool thing about Riverside is how I was able, when I realized I wasn't going to do a full episode, there was no way I felt, again, emotionally available and the capacity to do a full episode. I said, okay, well, let me go back again into my library and see if there's any materials that I could share that would help our creative community without necessarily calling me to do a lot of new content creation, because I just didn't have it. I didn't have the time and I didn't have the bandwidth. Well, Riverside, as you can see, I already used it for live streaming. I already used it for podcasts. But what I hadn't tried that much is using it to re-edit old footage from previous podcasts. Not the podcast itself, but actually the Zoom calls that I used to create the podcast a while ago, because I used to use Zoom a lot. So I went back, found a Zoom interview, a couple of them, and I tried this new import feature inside of Riverside. So I imported Zoom, and it asked me, do you want to separate the tracks? I was like, well, of course. Do you want us to create a brand new episode? Like, yeah. Do you all know that I was able to repost what you see this week in godandgigs.com/379, our interview with Tia Goins with it, which is an encore presentation. It is an encore presentation, but here's the cool thing. If you really look at it, it looks like a brand new podcast, and it's even better editing than maybe the one that I did previously for Tia Goins, who is an amazing. I'm so glad we shared her stuff again, because it was just an amazing episode, and bringing it back up just brought it back. And like, oh my gosh, this is so good. But I was able to make quick edits so fast. And remember, I'm doing this on a time crunch where I don't want to be on the computer for a long time. So the reason why I got so excited about Riverside is because I was like, how many more podcast episodes can I improve? How many more shows that maybe you guys didn't get the gist of it? Maybe you didn't watch it at the time. Maybe it wasn't even on the podcast. And I don't mean we should take everything that's old and bring it back. But there's some really good stuff that sometimes we put on the back burner video-wise or podcast-wise or audio-wise, and we're like, oh, it can't be any better. I guess it wasn't good. Maybe it deserves a second chance. And the fact that I was able to bring that back up in Riverside was a huge benefit, because, again, it allowed me to put out this new episode with Tia Goins as a repost. And it felt new. It felt like a brand new episode. And new people are finding it and realizing how dope she is and how dope the interview was. And it's all because I was able to do this in just like, I guess, 30 minutes, maybe 45 minutes total. So Riverside was a huge benefit during my downtime. So all of these things, if you want to find them, by the way, all the tools, it's probably easier for you just to go to godandgigs.com/toolkit. And this should always be here, by the way. This is one of those things that I should always have, because I have all of these links available for you at godandgigs.com/toolkit. But Meet Edgar, was a huge one. Riverside was extremely helpful. And you know what's funny is that I'm sitting here trying to think of the third one, but the third, I don't remember what I put in the email. The third one was honestly you guys. It was a community that we built on Mighty Networks. Now, for many of you, if you're already on our, let's go ahead and pull that up so you guys can see it. Let's see here. Let's do share. And I'm going to share this, and then we're going to go ahead and pull up our own website because you guys all should know about it. But if you haven't seen it recently, it has been amazing what's been happening inside our membership. And the reason why I want to show you this is because this was really where I found the most support outside of my family and my church. Like everyone reaching out inside the community honestly made this little downtime moment easier to bear. And the reason I'm supporting you or recommending that you join a community, and obviously I would recommend you join our community, but also build your community on a Mighty Networks platform like this. I mean, I recommend Mighty Networks because it worked for us so well. But wherever you build one, it's the fact that outside of social media, you start to have a real family that's built around more than just what you create. It's built around you and the people who are involved. So even right here, where I was able to, as I mentioned earlier, folks were checking in and giving me questions for our latest, our newest guest that will be coming up in a couple of weeks, Vanessa Darby. So they were able to ask questions. And then when I was, again, looking for prayer in our prayer chat, people were reaching out. And again, see right there, like 619 today, keeping us in prayer. This is what means the most to me, you guys. More than just, oh, how do you achieve great success as a creative? How do you get more followers on Instagram and YouTube? How do you sell more, how do you get more songs downloaded and streams? How do you sell more books? More important than all that is how do we actually support each other as a community? And this was proof. So again, I highly recommend that if you have not either joined a community, but just alongside of that, consider building one or at least a Facebook group, something where people are connecting with you on a personal level. It doesn't mean they have to have your email address and, email you directly. Doesn't mean they have to have, your cell phone number, but it does mean that they have a place where they can discuss things outside of just social. Social is not where I feel you get the best connection with your community, especially when it comes to moments like this, when you need to pull back, you're not on social. But me checking in my community didn't feel like I was, I was outside of my element. It didn't feel like I was, not being seen. It felt much more like, hey, this is where I should be. So if you're interested in checking out godandgigs.com/mighty, remember, this is not for the membership. This is for setting up your own Mighty Networks community. And so if you want to try that out, I would highly recommend it. So those are the 3 tools that I would say were super beneficial during downtime. One was Meet Edgar because it allowed me to keep up with my social posts without even having to check in. Riverside was immensely helpful in quickly creating reposts of old episodes and making it look even better, sound even better than the original one, and doing that super fast, almost automatically based on AI editing and things like that. And everything was still 100% authentic. So that was huge. And my mighty community that we built for God and Gigs 360. Those 3 things were hugely beneficial. Well, my friends, we're almost at the end. We survived. It was a touchy back and forth kind of opening to our live stream. And again, part of me wants to, even as I'm doing this, say to you, I'm going to chop that out. And I really can't, because if I chop that out, I'm lying to you. I'm like, oh, that was authentically how I felt and how I was struggling. And nope, I can't do that. Can't cut it off. Got to be honest about where I was at, even though you guys had to kind of bear with me for 15 minutes while I was trying to get everything together. Thank you for watching on replay. If you're watching on replay, let me know you watched on replay. It's absolutely a blessing. Remember, if you want to join us in that 360 membership that I just mentioned, this is now not for Mighty Networks. It's actually in the community. How to join the community. You go to godandgates.com/membership. Remember, you can go join the CRC, Creator Resource Center, or our Gold membership. That's how you jump in there. But as I just mentioned, that is always going to be our recommendation for our final, I guess you could say, our final prescription is always to join the membership, because it's just the easiest way for you to get more and more of this kind of support. As I just mentioned, that's inside the community that you don't have to go looking for, that you don't have to wonder if somebody's watching out for you. You don't have to wonder if someone's going to, if the algorithm's going to block you, if you're not going to be able to find the people that you actually want to talk to at the time. So the most effective way for you to do that is to already be in a community with people who care about you, like they clearly cared about me. Again, cannot tell you how many prayers and things like that. Just, it absolutely touched my heart to know that I was more than just a content creator. I was a person that was loved and seen, even when I wasn't posting. So I'll quickly pull up that slide so you guys can see. Whoops. Gotta go back one. Oh, is that the player? Sorry, guys. Just realized I was, once again, just every time I tap something, just seems like it's not quite where I want it to be. Is this it? Finally. All because I just wanted you to see that I was prepared today. I was prepared. It just felt like pulling teeth to get everything to show up today. And even now, it's still not quite working the way I want it to work. There used to be a screen only option, and I don't see it. So I'm not sure what happened there. Because I'm playing with it to find out what happened, or whether I'm missing something. But anyway, that is where you go if you want to join the CRC, which is the easiest way to jump into the membership, or you can jump up by way of godandgates.com/membership into the live coaching section. But that is it for today. Thank you so much for joining me. You guys have been such troopers throughout this entire process, skipping a couple of weeks, responding to the emails, letting me know how you feel, giving me your mental health numbers. Keep doing that. Keep checking in on each other. We can only go up from here if we are prayerful, if we keep each other lifted up in prayer and in support and encouragement. God's going to continue to use our creative lives even when life happens. That's what I've learned the last 2 weeks, and I hope this was a great way for you to kind of like get that sense of what you can do to maintain your mental health, your emotional health, and to stay inspired as a creator even when things aren't going perfect. So that's it for today, my friends. Thank you so much for joining us. Until next time, as I always say, continue to become the creator that you were created to be. God bless, and we'll see you next time.